Hi everyone, welcome to our next session of Impact and Influence, where we are joined by Cecile Weldon, who is the livability and sustainability expert in the real estate space. Cecile, thanks for joining us.
Oh, it's a pleasure, Lauren.
To get us started, I would love for you just to give us a really quick background of how you've ended up here. Obviously, we've known each other for a number of years now, and I've always known you in this space. But for those who don't know you, what have you done, and what are you currently doing?
Well, my background's in business strategy, business development, and brand, right? So, but I'm also known as somebody that can find an innovative opportunity for business to be able to create a competitive advantage. And I entered the real estate sector as a consultant to a major franchise brand, actually LJ Hooker, and worked with them on all sorts of areas of their brand, and really became aware, and this is a long time ago, and started to say, hey, sustainability is going to ultimately impact real estate. It's not going to be now, maybe not tomorrow, but absolutely there's no way it's not going to. And so really set about looking at how can we integrate that into real estate, because sustainability is really complex, very confusing, very technical, and real estate agents only have moments, right? So how can we translate that so that it's a trusted conversation, very short, very simple, but very robust? And so I went on to develop the Livability Real Estate Framework and Livability PropTech, which was acquired by the CSIRO in 2016 and is now about to be commercialized, and everyone will see more about that later. So this kicked off this really love of the real estate sector, real estate agents, property managers. I ended up in corporate roles in real estate, but really wanted to specialize in delivering this information in a way that was meaningful to the residential real estate sector, whether you're a property manager, business owner, salesperson. And so that's where I am now. That's how come I'm here.
Awesome. So for those that are kind of watching today and thinking, first I've heard of this sustainability in real estate, can you kind of take us back to, a really broad...
The 101.
Yeah, the 101. Tell me the 101. What does it mean?
And it's a really great question, because you've got to start there, because one of the problems is with this word, because sustainability means what? Right? It means so many things in so many different sectors. So by the time it gets to real estate, it doesn't have a really good handle. You might see words like eco or green, but they mean that they don't hang onto anything in a meaningful and consistent way so that real estate agents can apply them and understand what they're doing. So what we did is we really translated this concept of sustainability, which is reduced impact on the environment, basically, and translated that into features. So what are the features that deliver that? But more than this, and this is the big takeaway I want everyone to have from this short conversation. Sustainable property features deliver lifestyle benefits first. They deliver a comfortable home all year round. They deliver ongoing running costs, and they also have reduced impact on the environment. So instead of leading with that conversation and thinking, that's not relevant to me, that's not relevant to houses, really lean into this idea of the lifestyle benefits. Because I have to say, after everyone's been in lockdown, they really know when their house is uncomfortably hot or uncomfortably cold. Every sales agent and property manager knows when the house is uncomfortably hot or uncomfortably cold that they have to market. They have to go there an hour before, turn on the air conditioning or the heating. It's a problem. And long term, it's why the people will leave that home, or it's why the people want to renovate that home. So I think agents need to get on board understanding what these collection of features are, and there's different levels of training you can do, and then how to bring that integrate it into the marketing conversation, because research shows that consumers are desperate for the information, and we've got this gap between what they want and what we're delivering them, and that's called an opportunity. Right?
Absolutely. And I can imagine there'd be a gap as well, because there's a lot of just buyers in this space who would be educated around this, and it's keeping up with that, isn't it? Would be really important. So
and look, unusually in normally real estate agents have their ear to the ground and they know everything that's going on.
Yeah.
However, in this sector, there's a little bit of a problem, because what research shows is consumers don't trust real estate agents to know really reliable information about this. So they're actually not letting them know that they'd like to know, because they think they're not going to get information back that is really robust and really informed. You've also got this other situation in the next generation of home buyers are very literate. They're very sustainably literate, and energy and water efficiency and renewables, right? And so we've got this very unenviable position of your customer, your property customer, knowing more about a property than you do. And this is the weapon to disruption on all sorts of levels, but also they're not delivering a customer experience that's delivering value, which means that will reflect onto the home.
Yeah, 100%. And even so it's not just for the sales space, is it? It's also for the property management space.
Property management, it's a really powerful space for a property manager to lift their profile, because they've never really had that profile lift that I think that they really deserve in the community, because they're in charge of two really important relationships, the investor and the renter. And we now know that they need both need each other, right? And they're in the middle. And what's powerful about this information is a home that has energy and water efficiency, that is focused on comfort, is not only easy to rent, right, but it's easier to maintain that tenant. The other problem you've got is, or the other opportunity you've got for an investor, you need to be giving them specialist advice about how they need to start capitalising a property in this direction to maintain that rental value, because standards are going up and up. We know that, you know, water efficient dual flush toilets are now going to be standard. This is just the beginning. I'm on all of the state and federal committees. I know what's coming down the line. Everyone needs to start understanding this is the direction of property innovation, and really getting on board. For property managers, if you can imagine a tenant is spending a lot of money on a hot water system that's very inefficient, that means they don't have enough money for the rent in winter, right? So it makes logical sense for a landlord to, an investor to put in a more efficient system, because there's more disposable income to keep paying for their property, right? But also they've capitalised in the right direction for the market, because all the research coming from state, federal, universities absolutely saying consumers value and they want properties that can give them ongoing running cost affordability, not just that afford to buy. It's afford to live in. This is now the new normal. It's not an optional extra. Sustainability is not an optional extra. It's delivering better homes now.
And so from a property manager's point of view, it's delivering that message to the landlord that might be a little bit skeptical about upgrading something, spending money on their property. It's about looking at that long-term conversation, isn't it?
And if you've done specialist training, what the research shows is if the agent can say, I've done specialist training in this area, so I can deliver a really premium service for you, because we want to make sure that your property is going to maintain its rental value, but also be attracted to the new tenant coming down the line. And this is absolutely the direction you need to go. So put aside a little bit of funds over 3 years. Let's start gradually, rather than replacing like with like, which is the default in property management, let's replace like with energy or water efficient, right? Because then your tenant's going to there's going to be more disposable income to keep paying your rent, your property's capitalising in the right direction for the market, but also for a property manager, their profile's lifted, but also their rent roll is a better risk. Yeah. Because I can tell you right now, everyone needs to be going through their rent roll right now and going, which one of these properties have energy and water efficiency, things, hot water system, air conditioning, doing a little bit of an inventory, and there'd be a traffic light system you'd want to put in place, because these are going to be a risk for you to carry long term. Absolutely. So once you've got the training, you then have the insight to be able to make those strategic decisions, which are so important. But you end up being able to have a great conversation with your renter, because you can say this property has these features which will support you if you use the home correctly with that ongoing affordability. That's attractive, because once they're in that lease, they can't leave. Okay. And they're trapped into a whole lot of big bills right? We now believe that this could be some of the reasons for some of the rent defaults or vacancies in particular properties. It's that ongoing running costs. And this is where lots of data is going to start to be coming through. So for property managers, they've got a win-win-win, right? They've got a great conversation. They get into with a better property. They lift their profile. Their renter feels supported and is paying top dollar and continues to pay top dollar, right? So there's no bad news story. The only problem you've got is that real estate agents think sustainability and environmental impact, this doesn't. Do you see what I mean? So
100%.
We want to lift the lid and go get excited, because all the innovation that's happening in building, everything is happening in this direction, to increase our energy productivity, to help us get more from less. And our homes actually accounts for 13% of our greenhouse gas emissions. So all governments, no matter what the political persuasion, need to help us get more productive in our homes, get more out of the energy we're using.
Just for me, look, it just sounds like there's such an add value to whoever your client is, be it buyer, be it vendor, tenant, landlord. There's so much add value in the conversations that you can have. And we are all trying to find that piece that sets us apart from our competition, that allows us to, like have quality conversations, charge that little bit extra. This is a space where there's not a lot of agents who are in, having conversations in this space. So it really does add that value to your conversation with your landlords.
And unfortunately, it's not something you can wing.
Yes.
You can't give the throwaway line because you know about 5% and you've heard something over a drink, right? You have to do the training. But once you've done the training, and the training now available to agents is specifically designed for real estate moments, for tiny moments, right? Once you've done the training, you really stand out, because you're not talking BS. You're talking really meaningful and relevant information. You can say, well, this is how this is going to help you long term, and have a look at this feature. You're pointing out features that have always been in the homes but have never been brought forward. So that's a potential for more value without anyone having to do anything to the house, because Absolutely. It's always been there. We're just focusing on the showcase features, whereas now property consumers want the lifestyle ones that help with the worries, comfortable all year round, not having to worry about the bill that's coming in, that sort of assurance, and also health. Health and well-being. We go to the gym, we watch what we eat, what we did before lockdown. It's natural that the health conversation is going to move into the home and how we live, right? It just can't be any other way. This is part of a bigger global shift. And if the real estate industry gets on board, they can ride it, because they're at the pointy end. They're at the real estate moment where value is assigned. But if they don't get there, they're going to be left behind, because they're not going to be relevant to a future-focused property conversation.
So for those who don't want to be left behind and do want the training that you've mentioned, where do we go to get more information?
Look, I'm excited to say that after many years, the real estate skills have now identified that this is a base level for real estate. So there is now an elective course for the real estate certificate about sustainable property features in real estate. It's a 1 hour webinar. It's on the Real Estate Institute of New South Wales site. For God's sake, do it. That's an intro. And then, of course, you've got the livability real estate training that you can do online. And there's all sorts of other courses that are coming down the line, online courses. But also I can customize a course for your team, for your brand, all of those sort of things. If you've got a certain moment or a certain sector that you want a course developed for, that's what all of these years' experience in the real estate industry has enabled me to do. So there's really no excuse for not really reaching out and being curious. It's my favorite statement. It's be curious, not cynical about sustainability.
Remove the fear of learning something new. Be curious about adding some value to conversations. I think that's a really important point.
And take away your judgment. Sometimes we feel as though we already know. Oh, I know what that is. But actually it's changed last time you looked,
Yeah. It's about the in-depth conversation now, isn't it? And the quality conversation over statement of sustainability.
And, you know, learning, you know, you've got to know your product, right? If you're a washing machine salesman, you know everything about your product. Why is it that it's okay for real estate agents not to know a big bit about a property, especially when it's part of our national compliance? Energy efficiency has been part of our national building compliance for new homes since 2006.
Wow, that surprises me.
Yeah, right. So every new home has to have an energy rating. And what's coming in the next 3 years is a whole of house rating for all homes. Existing homes, not just new homes. Happening. And this is the direction. So if you get on board, you're not going to be overwhelmed, really. You're just going to be able to keep up.
Yeah, I love it. Cecile, I feel like we could talk for a lot longer.
I know, right?
To wrap us up, is there one last piece of advice, one last tip for anyone who's interested in more information, or probably, you know, like what's a must know that they need to take away from today's session?
I think the must know is make the commitment to do the learning around this, because it's now at least that 1 hour webinar. Once you've done the webinar, you'll understand what I'm talking about. And hopefully then you'll go, okay, I want to know more. I want to become a specialist. I want to lean in. But absolutely sign up and do that 1 hour webinar to understand how it matters to you, your career, your property consumers, and the property market. Once you have that understanding, you've got the context with which to face your future strategic brand decisions and your growth decisions, right? So absolutely start learning.
Amazing. So guys, let's get curious about this space. We'll have some more information and some links on where you can find more. Cecile, thank you so much.
And I'm always available through you guys, just whatever questions come your way. Part of supporting the Regrowth brand, that I'm available to ask any questions you may have.
Thank you. Appreciate it and appreciate your time.
Take care, Lauren. Bye-bye.